My name is Benjamin Poole, and when I was 23, I gave my life savings to a broker who lost it all. But this taught me an invaluable lesson. I needed to educate myself to make my own financial decisions. Fast forward 20 years, I am no longer living paycheck to paycheck, and I want to share everything I've learned with you. Welcome to Financially Fit. Welcome to Financially Fit. My name is Benjamin Poole, and I want to say thank you guys so much for commenting in the comment section and liking and subscribing. This is awesome. So at the end of the segment, I'm going to go over day trading because you guys asked what is any advice on day trading, and so I have some for you at the end. So today's episode, I'm going to go over Roblox. All right. Roblox, as well as I'm going to go over the Airbnb chart that I had from last week. All right, so let's go ahead and into the Roblox chart. So please bear with me today. I'm trying something different. I like having live charts, not necessarily frozen charts, so I can kind of show you what I'm seeing in real time. So here is the chart on Roblox. One thing that I want you guys to notice is I have this pivot right here. Oh, again, this is a live chart. So I want you to look at this low. It coordinates with these areas. So you've got this high right here. And then, actually I'm going to freeze this. I'm going to go ahead and highlight these areas anyways. All right. So I want you to, Roblox had made this big move up after earnings. Okay. It got to the $48 level. And then right off of this trend line, it bounced and went down. It just went down. So now what I'm looking for the Roblox chart, now that it's pulled back about 20%, is I've got this upsloping trend line that I'm looking for it to get support off of and then go back to the upside. So Roblox has hit off of this chart or this trend line 3 or 4 times. And so I'm actually looking for a breakout. If it gets above there, comes back, retests, then we can go up to the $60 to $80 level on Roblox. So something to watch out for though. I want you to notice it's also putting in this longer term bear flag. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to the weekly chart. So it's got this really awesome bear flag pattern. Okay. So that's why I think it's got to break above this $48 level. I mean, that $48 level is really, really, really intact. So if it can break through there, it's got further upside. And then you're going to have these lows right here. So you come across there, you've got about the $65 level, and then you've got this red bar right here, and that's about the $70 level. And then ultimately, you've got all this price action in here, and that's pretty close to the $80 level. So let's see what Roblox is on the downside. All right, so here's the daily chart again. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. All right, so on the downside, bear with me. Okay, on the downside, we have, like I said, this trend line right here. So it's right around the $40 level, as you can see. But then you have this level. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and freeze it. So you have this level right here. It's going to be a lot of support. If it ends up breaking through this, it's going to come down here. So right around the $36 level. So I can see it bouncing off of there. If it breaks below there, then you're going to right around the $32 level where you have this really good gap fill. And then ultimately, if it continues to break down, I think it's going to come down and test this $26 level. So on Roblox, I've got this support area. Go ahead and get out of here. Reset the charts. Okay, so right here, back in April of 2023, it created a low on the charts, and now it's hovering right at this level. It's got a nice level parallel channel, trend line, and it hit it again right at $26 back in September. All right, so that is the line in the sand. If it starts breaking below that, to be honest, I would bail out of Roblox. I would just leave it alone because, to be honest, there is no additional support after that level. All right, so that's what I have on Roblox. Now I'm going to go overhead and I'm going to do the Airbnb chart. So last time we did this, it was on earnings, right? So we had this weekly chart pattern for a head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders. So I'm going to freeze this again. You have this inverse head and shoulders pattern. On the weekly, it hadn't played out. It hadn't broke above, but it finally broke above right here. And look at what it's doing. It's starting to retrace below it. Like I said, I wasn't going to play the earnings on this. I understand that there were some like booking.com and stuff that actually dropped on earnings. But Airbnb, it's kind of its own world. So I was just going to leave it alone. So that's what I did. But you can see that it's still not broken above, but it hasn't broken below. If it does break below here, it's going to retrace to this trend line right here, which is right around $130. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out on this chart a little bit more so that way you can see. I've got this really cool trend line right here. Connect this high. Slide this over so you guys can see. Connect this high. Gets through these highs. And so now I have a nice solid trend line that goes back to 2021. So if it can start consolidating above that, excuse me, let me do that again. If it consolidate above that and then retrace, then it's got further upside. As you can see, there's a lot of this market that's been making all-time highs. Airbnb is not one of them, so it's still something to look for. Another trend line I'm looking for is if this continues to break down, it's going to come back down to this bottom trend line, which is actually a pretty solid trend line. So if you wanted to pick it up, I would wait for this retrace. The really nice thing about this trend line is it would be the third hit. And because it goes back to the 2023 lows, it's actually going to be a pretty solid support level. All right. So there's my update on Airbnb, and there's my charts on Roblox. So now let's go ahead and get into the question. So I told you guys I was going to answer one of the questions. So you asked, what's your advice on day trading? So 90% of day traders end up losing money. Our brains are hardwired to avoid risk or loss more than they are hardwired for gain. So what happens? When you start to get into money on a stock, on a day trade, you get super excited, and then that starts to pull back a little bit. And so your mind switches and says, I've got a profit right now. I don't want to lose, and so I'm going to take that profit. Now, on the flip side, that trade starts going against you. Well, as it continually goes further and further out of the money, because you were at your break even at one point, now you're hardwired to hold on to that. Because if you cut it, what are you going to do? You're going to lose. So our brains are actually not really designed for day trading. So we've got to go counter to what we actually psychologically believe that how it's supposed to be. So my rule of thumb is you want to cut your losses quick and let your gains run. Even though it's going to go counter to what you think, that's actually what you're supposed to do in day trading. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Financially Fit. Please comment below. I would love to hear what else you guys want to talk about. Next week, I'm going to get into fitness. I'm going to talk about the LLY chart and kind of give you some advice on like how to get similar results with yourself through food rather than taking a drug. Okay? So again, like, comment, and I appreciate your guys' comments. So we'll see you next time on Financially Fit.